Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Carson Kvapil of JR Motorsports, of course, running the number 8 in the late model program. How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. How about you?
Doing well. It's been a while since you've been on here, so thanks for coming back on. Um, okay, so just to kind of explain how this season's been like for you, in the late model, because I know you've done a ton of things.
Yeah, it's been really, really good. We've had great car every week. I think our worst finish so far was at Wilkesboro past weekend. I think we finished eighth. We won three in a row and finished second in the first race. So I think we've had a pretty good season. Looking pretty good in the points right now, and just gonna keep pushing. Brian gives me a good car week in and week out. It's up to me to make the right decisions and how to do the race and stuff like that. But I think we're gonna have a good car for this weekend.
I got to ask you, what was it like to just run all those races and last week at Wilkesboro, and then when it first kind of came back last year? What was that like, and what was it like to win all that?
It was crazy. Having it all come back, they just basically cleaned the track up and fixed the main things that needed to be fixed, and that's really about it. The first year we went there, and it was cool. The track was awesome. Really, it never came up for us or anything. We really pushed for it not to be repaved because we thought the track was all good. It really wasn't that rough. It wore tires good. Just the facilities needed worked on, and fortunately they worked on all the facilities and stuff. But I think this year they might have messed up a little on, which I mean they might have had to. I don't know the situation, but I think the sealer kind of screwed it up a little bit. It made it good in some ways, but at the same time it kind of screwed up the racing. It really made it a one lane track for sure. Even the first year we went there, it was almost a one lane track, but you could still make passes on the outside and you had a chance. Whereas this year, it just seemed like if you weren't on the patches on the bottom, you're screwed. So yeah, they've done a really good job getting that place to where it is now. And from August to now, it's pretty crazy all the work they've got done and all the stuff they did to that place. But hopefully we can go back there in the future and hopefully we can get another win there.
Yeah. So you are going to be racing this week, Tri County, out in the Cars Tour for the late model stock. What's that going to be like? What has it been like just racing in the Cars Tour, especially with with the new ownership coming in? Obviously Jack and Keeley still run the day-to-day operations of the Cars Tour. So from that aspect, a lot of things are the same, but just a lot of new money's being coming in.
Yeah, for sure. Number one is just the Cars Tour is super competitive. It's probably the hardest series week in and week out that I've ever raced in. I mean, I feel like JRM and all the guys got their stuff pretty well together. And there's still some weeks where we're just barely off and we go run eighth, finish eighth, 12th, somewhere in there when you feel like you're pretty good. You just missed it a little bit. So the competition is just crazy. I don't think everybody really fully understands how legit the Cars Tour is for cars and quality of cars and stuff like that. But the new ownership and stuff like that I'm really excited for that. I think everybody is. Obviously, like you said, Jack and Keeley still run the deal, but behind the scenes, the new owners and stuff, they're doing a lot of work to it, just trying to make it to where everything behind the scenes is good, and it can, or they're trying to make it to where it's a series that can survive for years to come, and it's really cool to see.
Yeah. So, I know that you're not the only, Quapple racing. I know that Caden's got a pretty big week as well. Of course, I think he's going to be in that ASA race, on Thursday. What's it like to see his career kind of, take off?
It's cool for sure. Trying to help my brother out most I can, especially when he runs my dad's super late model like he did at Wilkesboro and like what he's doing Thursday at Hickory in the ASA series. Just trying to help him in different ways, trying to help him race better and understand at the track type stuff better, but at the same time, trying to teach him how to work on the race car. And I think, like for me, I think obviously winning races and stuff like that got me to where I am, but at the same time, being able to work on the race car and stuff like that. That was a really big thing for me, in getting to JRM and stuff like that. So just trying to get him more acclimated with working on the race cars and stuff like that. But it's cool to see for sure. He's he's getting a few wins here and there, and I think he's just warming up to what he has for sure.
So like, you talk about, working on your own car. What is that? What are some of the things that you as a driver like to have, like when you notice that you're the one going under there? It's like, what do you need to do to make sure that you have like the nuts and bolts of everything, working on your own car? Like, is there any specific things that you like when you're in a race car?
It's just, I mean, I'd say the biggest thing for me is knowing the race car. Like once you work on it a bunch, it's like you know the race car. It's you know exactly what's doing what. You understand what the panel bar is doing whenever you go into the corner. It's sometimes it's irrelevant, but at times it's really really a key thing to have, especially when if you're a little bit off or something and you're trying to figure out with the crew chief what changes to make and stuff like that. You can kind of assist with it a little bit once you understand and work on the cars. But even at the shop, just helping the guys out, taking some of the work off their backs. Those guys they work 5 days a week, and I'm sure that they wouldn't mind a little bit of help here and there. So just understanding the race car is a key thing for me. I honestly don't really know, like if I didn't work on my race cars, I feel like it'd be a lot harder for me
Yeah.
to make changes during practice, understand what the car's doing and stuff like that. So I'm glad that I get to work on my race cars, and glad I've been taught by my father to do stuff like that. And I think it's a help for sure.
Yeah. So I know that a lot of people are also kind of talking about, what other stuff that you could do this year. Like, are we going to see you in another, type of car, whether it's ASA or whether it's any other series?
I mean, there's nothing really set in stone right now. I mean, it's just like anybody else. There's plans just kind of come and go. I think we're trying to maybe do some other stuff here and there, bigger series stuff, but at the same time, it's you never know. Trying to get some funding and stuff like that, it's always tough. But I was trying to run the ASA Wilkesboro and Hickory race or one of them, but just got really busy there couldn't really get the car that I was trying to race done, and just kind of I actually recommended my brother race those two races, so I kind of handed it off to him and let him have some fun, but just focusing on the late model right now for sure.
Yeah. So, and then just kind of, the rest of the season, what are you most looking forward to? Like, what is there any big races that you're looking forward to driving in?
I mean, just the upcoming weekend here is the 30,000 to win cars to a race. That one's one that everybody has marked on their list there to try to go get and stuff like that. But I mean, the Martinsville late model stock race for sure. We came second there, and my first time there last year. So trying to just get a little bit better there and try to get a win there. But I mean, obviously there's other late model stock racing and stuff like that. But um, I would say trying to figure out something for the snowball derby, kind of a yearly thing now. Just see if we can get a good car for the snowball derby, and maybe see what happens, depending if I can make it or not. But really nothing in particular, nothing unscheduled, just the big races for the late model and maybe a super late model race here too.
Yeah. So what's the biggest thing that you've learned? This is excluding like working on the car and all that, because obviously there's another side of being a driver, which is the marketing, the appearances, and all that fun stuff. From that side of things, what have you learned there?
But yeah, I've learned a bunch, honestly, especially with being with Junior Motorsports. I've been around Dale, Kelly, LW, all those people. They really have a good understanding of that type of stuff. I feel like I'm kind of green to it, or I guess not as experienced. Just, I mean, before I ran the Junior Motorsports car, all I really cared about was working on the race car and making some social media posts, just filling everybody in, kind of doing what I thought was needed to be done, but mainly just focusing on getting the race car ready week in and week out. And I feel like with the Junior Motorsports stuff, there's my crew chief and mechanic work full time, and I try to work as full time as I can with my workout schedule and stuff like that. So Just when you're under the junior motorsports team, it's a little more important to appear nicer. Obviously, you always want to appear nice, but it's more important to do sponsor stuff like that, sponsor stuff, bigger social media platform. Just trying to get myself acclimated to it. It's tough, but I feel like the first year that I ran for them last year was kind of a learning year for me. Kind of learned everything, figured everything out. And I feel like this year I'm really able to execute, especially on stuff like that.
Yeah. How are you at like posting tweets and all that stuff? It's like you like was it tough to figure out at first?
It was. I mean, I always had done post race stuff when I ran my dad's stuff and stuff like that, so I had an idea. But um, I'd say that I mean, social media was definitely a little bit different. Just trying to be specific, make sure I didn't make no mistakes and stuff like that. But more so, interviews was the bigger thing for me. Try to figure those out. Really highlighting my sponsors, Bass Pro Shops, Junior Motorsports, stuff like that, Chevrolet. Really trying to focus on putting them in all the interviews and stuff like that, and trying to speak a good note, I guess you could say. Just trying to be positive as I can be, and just thanking all the people was probably the toughest thing. I'm usually not too good at speaking and stuff like that, so I've gotten a lot better, but that's still probably the toughest thing for me.
Yeah. What would you say like what like the biggest like thing it's like what was like the biggest moment in like your your racing career in like the past few years like since you've kind of joined junior motorsports and all that and just I know you've gotten a lot of opportunities throughout your career. What was is there any moments like I can't believe I'm doing this?
Yeah, that was probably whenever I was rolling the car to victory lane at Wilkesboro. That was that moment, honestly. Just kind of unbelievable that look back a year ago at that time, I was trying to win a Super Late Model championship in my dad's family owned team, and there was nothing really, there was nothing. I wasn't running a junior motorsports car. We were just trying to make it to the track week in and week out. And to think a year later, I'm in victory lane at North Wilkesboro with Dale Jr. beside me is pretty crazy. I mean, there's a lot of moments that have been like that, but I would say winning North Wilkesboro was for sure probably the biggest in the last few years.
Yeah. And then the last thing is, of course, this weekend, you mentioned it, 30,000 win. What at Tri County? What's that going to be like?
It's gonna be tough. Like I was saying earlier, it's this Cars Tour series. It's crazy how competitive it is. It's just in the last few years has gotten so big, and the quality of cars, the speed that everybody has. There's 10 guys that can win the race week in and week out, and there's obviously at least 15, 25 other people there still. So it's really tough. It's hard, especially when there's $30,000 on the line at a place like Tri County. That place it can get rough there, racing wise and stuff like that, and it track changes as the race goes on. You move up the hill and stuff like that. But I think I think we just got to focus on just getting the car best we can. I'm sure crew chief Brian's going to do a really good job of that. But just yeah, it's going to be up to me to qualify good, put myself in a good spot in the race to hopefully have the Bass Pro Shops Chevy up front at the end of the race.
Yeah. All right. Well, Carson, thank you so much for coming on and talking with us, and best of luck this weekend at Tri County.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.